Welcome, everybody. So some of you know about McGraw Hill Construction and some don't, and so I'm going to take you through a little bit of high level here and talk about the kinds of things that we can do. I was in architecture for almost 20 years and then took 3 years off into the construction technology arena, where I did get so interested in technology, as Annalisa referred to. I do a lot of our research here. Been at McGraw Hill now for 11 years. But we're going to talk about some of the tools that we have that really help you learn more about your markets and actually grow your business. And with me, Kate Pillara and Paul Gamitter. Kate's a real specialist in what you'll learn about with our Dodge products, and once you become one of our customers, Paul Gamitter is really devoted to helping to make sure you're as successful as possible with those things. So hopefully you're aware of some of our top brands, ENR, which is really the leading global construction magazine and website, as well as Architectural Record, which does the same thing for the architectural side. But what we're going to talk about more today is our Dodge business, which is really the source of data, forecast, and analysis about the construction industry. So underlying all those things is really the theme of market intelligence. And the whole point of being smarter about your market is to help you be more successful. And so we do that in several different ways. We really help you stay on top of the industry trends that are going to impact your business, and just as importantly, they're going to impact your client's business. And so this is what your clients are going to be thinking about. So it's important that you're able to talk about them knowledgeably. Then secondly is to really understand your markets. Where is the work going to be for you? The kind of work that you want to do. And who's your competition? And what are they doing in the markets that you want to be in? And then you get into really wanting to identify specific opportunities. And that's where you really put to work the trends and the understanding of your market, because it's not just the opportunities you should pursue, but also knowing which ones you shouldn't pursue, so that you really do have a positive impact on your win-loss ratio, and you're spending your time going after the appropriate work and the appropriate types of client development. And then lastly, it's very important to us to be continually giving you guidance so you can use this market intelligence to move forward. And I'll talk about all these things today. So I'm going to focus on the three major places that we can provide to you, the resources we can provide to you, that are going to really help you get a grip on market intelligence. First is ENR. Hopefully a lot of you are familiar with ENR. What most people know about it, beyond being that weekly news magazine, is the top lists. And these are tremendously popular. And as you can see, we really deal with an awful lot of the aspects of the industry. And not only do we list the top firms each year, but we also give you some analytics about what's going on in the marketplace around them and in which they're operating. And so I would send you to enr.construction.com for more information about that. Also, there's a lot of good analysis about industry trends. As I mentioned before, it's very important to be staying on top of the things that your clients may be thinking about, as well as the people that you do business with. And so you'll see all through ENR things about costs and materials and labor and workforce and changing regulations, and a lot about technology. And I do work with them around that a lot. We do our ENR Future Tech conferences, East Coast and West Coast. And also they've begun recently doing something they call the Confidence Index. They've got a panel of 6,000 industry executives, and we poll them every 3 months. And we get their impression about where their future is going to be, what the drivers are going to be, how optimistic they are, what they think the business conditions are going to be short term, next 3 to 6 months, midterm, 12 to 18 months, and then longer term, 3 years out. And at this point, as you can see here on the bottom, it has never been higher as we've been coming out of the global financial crisis. We hit 76 the last time we did that. As you see on the right, it's broken out by design firms, GCs, and subcontractors. And I was particularly impressed with the view that design firms have about the next 12 to 18 months. 75% of them think it's going to be improving at that point. So everybody's pretty bullish about the future right now. So next is Architectural Record, and they also have top list. They deal with architects, so you'll be able to see who the top 300 are in the U.S. by revenue. But there's also a lot of interesting stuff in that magazine and on the website about practice, about business, that's really helping you to understand the trends, and so that you're better able to deal with them and think ahead. They've also begun doing a pretty interesting thing recently called Market Focus, which they work with the Dodge folks to do this. And they'll take a market project type. In this case, it was in September, it's market focus on retail. And you can see the project activity, you can see who the top design firms are, you can see the top projects out there, you can see the top metro areas driving that. So again, we're infusing this kind of market intelligence under everything that we do. And also you'll see where it's published what we call the momentum index, the Dodge Momentum Index. As you'll learn more in a few minutes about Dodge, we have huge numbers of projects coming in all the time. And whenever we have our first tier of reporting on them, as soon as we learn about them, that's how we get our momentum index, because that's an early indication of projects just coming into the design phase, which then is kind of a forward look as to how much activity there's going to be coming. And so you can see that in our record. And so that leads us to Dodge. Dodge is really the heart of the information that drives a lot of our analytics and our forecasting here. So I'll take you through several aspects of Dodge. It's really the most comprehensive data out there about the projects and the companies, meaning the owners, the design firms, the contractors, all the service firms. In order to collect that, we've been doing this for over 100 years. We've got actual physical reporters in 85 major metro areas, and they manage over 35,000 relationships with industry sources. And so we are constantly trying to learn about projects as early as we possibly can, and then we track them through their entire life cycle up to the point that they begin construction. And so in any given year, we've got about 500,000 projects, and it's usually projects of $1 million and up. And we are updating it constantly. As I say, we've got like about 5,000 updates every single day to the status of these projects as they move from phase to phase. As contractors get added, as we learn more information, we're constantly following these things and we're adding that information to these project files. And they're about buildings, they're about infrastructure, they're about energy, they're really about all the project types that are going on. And we have traditionally done North America, but we've now begun to do international as well. And we do these from pre-design, before the time an architect has even been selected, all the way up to the point that they start. And about, on average, 60% of these are private projects. So let me talk a little bit about our research and analytics, and then I'll talk about some of the online tools. So research and analytics is where you would go to get reports that we produce. You can get single reports, you can subscribe to reports, there's a newsletter which I'll show you the link to, which is free and pretty interesting, and they also do a lot of custom research for folks. And so this is the link to get to the analytics store where you can see all these things, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the landing page at the analytics store, and here at the top you'll see some of the new things that have come out, and now at the bottom are the featured categories of the kinds of reports that you can get from us. And I'll show you some of the things. Smart Market Reports are a series that I'm very familiar with. I've been doing those for the last 7 years now, specifically the ones I do around technology. But we touch on all kinds of different topics, and these are free. They're sponsored in advance, and they're put up on the site for anybody to download. So these are really about what are the key trends that are driving the industry. And as an example of safety, a lot of them on building information modeling, project delivery systems, lean construction, prefab, information mobility, world green building, lots of interesting stuff here. They're all sort of that 40 to 60 pages of research, very readable, very consumable, but the idea is to keep you up to date on what the most important trends are that are interesting to you, that are likely to affect your business. And again, these are all free for download at the analytics store. So if you want to know what's going to be happening, big picture, the overall design and construction economy in the next 12 months, that's what we do with something we call Outlook. And we'll do this once a year, and it's a really deep dive. And it'll take you through every aspect of the construction economy and give you a real detailed analysis of what's going to happen with our forecast. Now, if you'd like to know where will the opportunities be for the kind of work that I want to do, focus specifically on the markets that you're most interested in over the next 5 years, that's when you would go to the market forecast that we call Construction Market Forecast Service, CMFS. And what that's going to do is give you some history and a 5-year forecast in 9 different regions on 20 different major project types. So you can get whatever project types you're particularly interested in, and you can see where our economists believe that market's going to go over the next 5 years including some trend information so you can do some planning off of that. Then if you want to know about very specific metro areas, you want to take a geographic focus and say what kinds of projects are going to be happening in very specific metro areas, we'd have that slice in what we call these Metropolitan insights. So here you can do any of 35 different individual U.S. metropolitan areas. And we've got, again, the trend and the 5-year forecast for 9 major project types that are going to be happening in those metro areas. So depending on whether you want to follow, if you're mostly interested in what's happening with a project type or whether you're interested in what's happening with a particular geographic region, right, there are reports that are built specifically to help you get smart about that. And there's a newsletter, which is free. Again, you can sign up for it at the analytics store. Comes out every month, and it gives you highlights of our monthly economic report that our economist does. It updates some of the hottest news out there, gives you statistics, kind of rotating special features in there. Very interesting, free, great way to just to begin to get your head into the kinds of things that you can learn about more deeply from some of those products. Now, in addition to reports, we also have a very robust online service. And that's either subscription or it's based on national, or you can do it based on specific geographies or specific project types that you're interested in. And I'll show you 3 ways that you can engage with that online. So this is really all that incredible data that we have is now underneath this online service. You can essentially drive your own research and dig into just what you want. And so we'll start with MarketShare. So that takes essentially the kinds of things that are in all those reports that I showed you, and it basically makes it able for you to do your own driving through that data and determine the kinds of things that you're most interested in. So it's really a way to think about online access to all that Dodge data about project types and geography that you saw in those reports. You can get the 5-year history, the 5-year forecast. You can search by any project type, geography. You can combine anything you want to, slice it any way you like, and create reports. You can export it to the data to other systems. You know, it's essentially like taking all that market intelligence about projects and geography and really putting it in your hands, and you can slice it and dice it as much as you'd like to. Then there's BuildShare. You know, as we've been collecting the information about all these projects in all these locations over the years, we've also been collecting who it is who's worked on all of those in every role, from the owner all the way down. And so that's all in the database as well. And so, as we all know, this is a very relationship-oriented business. And so what this gives you the opportunity to do is really look at almost kind of like that people lens on things. So how can you target the right prospects and identify who the most active players are in any market, who are the most active owners, who are the most active architects, or the engineers or contractors. You can see what competitors they're already working with, who do they have a history of already working with on projects. You can see how often they do BIM or LEED. You can evaluate your competitors. You can identify who the most active ones are, see who they're working with, track how they change. You know, you can be tracking particular companies that you compete with and see where their projects pop up and how they're changing. And then you can also use this to target who it is that you really want to work with. Who are the current relationships of the top owners that you, or the project types that you want to be active in? You know, who are the players in that space already? And you can evaluate who you're going to compete with. Are the people you want to partner with? Is this a way to find an acquisition in another market, perhaps? It's really that people lens on all of this data. So which companies are the most active in those specific project types that you want to be working in, and the regions you want to be working in, and who frequently works with who. Now, for instance, here, this would be a screen. You could see by company location who the players are, by project location who the players are, by project type who the players are, and then you're ranking the firms by their volume. So you can do this with contractors, as is done here. You could do it with owners. You could do it with architectural firms. Again, these are all the companies that we have associated with all these projects for decades and decades. So we have a lot of history in terms of who's worked with who and who's done what kinds of projects and how much work they're actually doing and in what locations and what project types. And every single company's got a profile. where we've collected all the work that they've done, break it out by volume, by phase, of current work they have going, the project types that they have going, of all their joint ventures and their parent-child relationships, and how much volume they have in various locations, and then breakdowns on individual specific project history. So, you know, it's almost like a Facebook for the industry in terms of all the stuff that we've been collecting for years in Dodge. And you can also get into individual branch offices, say, you know, just the Turner, New York office. Who is it that they work with? What are the clients they work with? What are the other architectural firms, engineering firms that they've worked with? And, you know, broken out by the firm types and broken out by geographies and things. It's any kind of way that you're interested in seeing who's worked with who and what projects and where, you know, that's what this can do for you. And then lastly, is the biggest of all, which is really our global network. And this is where you're going to see all the actual projects that would be opportunities for you. So this is a real mega dashboard, and this allows you to identify opportunities to do research about both the projects and the companies, and to track them specifically, and it'll automatically update you as we're learning more. As I said, we do these 5,000 updates a day, and so anything that happens on any of these projects that you're tracking, it keeps you alerted on that. This is where you'd see that 500,000 projects each year, both the building and non-building, U.S., also international. You could search these by region or size or type or whatever makes sense to you. And in terms of companies, we've got over 1 million companies in that database, and it'll do that automatic tracking. So if, for instance, you know, here's the dashboard if you wanted to look into projects here. You know, today there's 386,499 projects up to the point of the start of construction. Figuring that that's too many for anybody, we have lots of ways that you can search through those and find the ones that are most appropriate for you. So all these filters down here on the left side. So for instance, if we just wanted to focus on projects that are along the coast from Virginia up to Maine, we can just select those states and it'll automatically filter for you there. You can update it. And there's 81,000, almost 82,000 projects today in that database that are up and down the coast. That's still a huge number of projects. So, and if you're interested, it'll show you a breakdown by every county in every one of those states about how many projects are in there. So you could also drill down at the county level if you want to. But you could choose at what action stage that project is. And so for this example, what I've done is say, let's look at all the pre-design projects where an architect hasn't even been selected yet. So we've got 8,000 of those in those states in the Northeast. So we could say, well, you know, I'm not interested in all those projects. I don't want to do power plants and things. So let's just look at the building projects. And again, you could select any ones of these that you'd want to. You can see how many of each kind there are in there. So just the building projects, there's about 6,000 of those where there's no architect been selected yet. And at any time, if you see one, you know, I'm from Philadelphia, so here's one at Penn Medical. Used to be one of my clients. You can see what's up with those guys. Look at this. This is a project where they're going out to looking for interest from architects and general contractors right now. Here's the contact of the person to talk to. Here's the information we have about it. Here's where it is. And so it's $1.5 billion project. So this is an example of the kinds of things that are in there for projects in that stage where an architect hasn't been selected yet. So then if you were to select, for instance, from another stage further along, this is one that the University of Maryland, that's a $218 million project. This one's in bidding right now. But you can see all the firms, because as I say, we update this constantly, and we're always tracking who's on these projects. And if you clicked on the firms, you'd see, you know, here's the owner and all the design firms on it, all the engineers, and HOK is the architect on that. And then once it went into, once the bidding came in, we'd add who the contractors were to it. So we're constantly updating this to keep it current. So in this case, each one of these, again, has its own profile in that million-plus company database. And so if you went to HOK, you'd see about the HOK office. And you could drill into that and see the other projects that they're working on, or see who the contacts are. So all the data is related. So if you decide up here that, oh, geez, you know, $1.5 billion, maybe that's a little bit too big for me to bite off, can I just narrow that range a little bit? So you can certainly, this will break down for you how many projects are in each of these dollar ranges. So you can say, well, how about just things between $5 million and $50 million? So you can update that. And again, there's over 1,100 projects in that strip from Virginia up to Maine where an architect hasn't even been selected yet. And 432 of those are private projects. It's broken down between new projects, interiors projects, things of that nature. You can break it down any way you want to. You can see which ones are going for lead. And so we're collecting all this information as we go, and we're making it really easy for you to access it online whenever you want to, and just chase the things and pursue the things that you're interested in. And then companies is the same approach as projects, but it's for all these companies. So like I say, we have over 1 million companies in that database right now, and we've got profiles on all of those. And so if you wanted to see, you know, for instance, just the owners, there's 593,000 owners in there, 73,000 architects. You know, we've got a incredible depth of information about all these companies and what they've done and what they're currently doing. And you can do what we call power ranking. You can pick some area, like this is New York State, and this is power ranking the owners in New York State. And you can do it by the number of projects that they have. And here Cornell with 57 projects comes out first. And again, you can get their profile. You can look at the contacts. You can look at what all those projects actually are just with one click. You can do it by total valuation. And in this case, BFC Partners, they only have 6 projects, but it's $10.5 billion worth, right? So again, you can go to their profile and find out about them. You can see the contacts that are there. You can look at those individual projects. You know, so this is a really great way to focus on just who it is that you want to be doing business with in any location for any project type. So all of this is really great. It's terrific technology. It's incredible content below it. You know, but we're not done yet because we really feel like it's important to keep giving you guidance to move forward to how to use this market intelligence to be more successful. We've got a number of ways to do that. There's guidance that's tailored for specific types of companies. You know, for instance, general contractors. We've got free downloads of white papers, like 4 ways to influence owners and bid smarter. All right, how are you going to compete less for new construction? How do you get people to bring new construction projects to you? When do you not want to bid? Because that's just as important to have discipline about the projects that you do pursue versus the ones you don't. And, you know, what's the best way to get business overseas, if that's something that's interesting to you? And for big subs, you know, we have build more and bid less, 4 easy steps. You know, how to find the projects that are going to have the best margin for you. And what are the 4 most important technologies that you really should be bringing to the party? Or even for small subs, you know, what you need to do to read between the lines and address an owner's real concerns, and when it's good to do an alternative approach on a bid, and how important is a cover letter, and how to stop reinventing the wheel every time you submit a bid. So these are the kinds of guidance that we're putting out there for people to use the market intelligence that we provide and try and be more successful. And we also have a lot of webinars. Please, I send you to this site, our events site. Not only do we have live events, we have a lot of webinars, finding projects, handling contract revisions, BIM for the specialty contractor. So we're doing everything we can to try and collect the knowledge that we have and make it available to you so that you can be more successful using market intelligence to grow your business. So at the end of the day, this whole approach to market intelligence is about helping you understand the industry trends that are going to influence your success, helping you to identify what the markets and the companies are that are most likely to actually drive your growth, and help you get that in-depth, real decision-making intelligence on what the top clients and your competitors are doing. Help you focus on that relationships aspect, because that is so key, to see who it is who works with who, how frequently they work with those people. Really helps you make decisions about how to pursue things, companies and projects. And then to pinpoint where it is you really ought to be putting your efforts, by geography, by project type, and then to get access to what those most promising opportunities really are and who those players are that you should be connecting with and pursuing work with, and then helping you to move forward with confidence using all of this market intelligence.